talking about parts of a map. So every map should have 5 parts that make it a good map. And these parts are the title, that tells what the map is about, the compass rose, that tells the directions on a map, the map key, otherwise known as the map legend, that shows what the symbols on a map mean, the scale, that shows distance on a map, and longitude, latitude lines, or a grid system. The 5 parts of a map, let's look at them on a map. First of all, we have the title. And on this map, I can see the title of this map is called USA and Cuba. The compass rose, in this map, it's a little tiny N that has an arrow pointing towards the north. On some maps, it would be the full compass rose. So it's important for you to know the parts of a compass rose so that when they only give you the north, you know what else is on the compass rose. The scale shows distance on a map, and that is shown here on a line showing distance. The legend, or the key, is shown here, and that shows what the symbols on a map mean. And of course, the grid system. The grid system on this map is a series of lines of longitude and latitude with their numbers corresponding, because this map shows a grid system using longitude and latitude. This map also shows something called an inset map. This map right here of Alaska and of Hawaii, those are insets maps. It means they did not fit on the map, and so they're put into a special place on the map. And of course, it's important to know that Alaska and Hawaii are not west of Mexico. Alaska is indeed way up north past Canada, and Hawaii is in the Pacific Ocean. But in this example of a map, they're shown in what's called an inset map, a map inside a map. The map title tells what the map is about. So on this map, it's showing that this is a map of the United States. The compass rose is able to show direction. A compass rose is used to show cardinal directions. There are 4 cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. The compass rose also shows the intermediate directions, sometimes northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest. So the 4 main directions are northeast, south, and west. The intermediate directions are the in-between directions. So between north and east on the compass rose is northeast. Between south and east on the compass rose is southeast. Between south and west is southwest. And between north and west is northwest. It's important to note that there's no such thing as east-north or west-south. You always start with north or south first, and then you go to east or west. So there is, between north and east is northeast. It would never be called east-north. You always start with north or you start with south, and then you go west or east. Okay? So on this map, you can see the compass rose is showing both the cardinal directions, northeast, south, and west, and the intermediate directions, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. There is no such thing as east, south, and we did talk about that in the last slide. You always go north first or south first, then you add the east or west. So if I were to look at this compass rose, you will see something like this on a quiz, in which you will need to label both the cardinal directions, or the main directions, and the intermediate directions, the in-between directions. So in this compass rose, imagine what these letters would be. What would this be? This would, of course, be north. And this would be east. And this would be south. And this would be west. And some people remember that by, let's go back to the cardinal compass rose. Some people remember the NESW by saying never eat soggy waffles. So in order, never is north, eat is east, soggy is south, and waffles is west. So on this, you can remember that handy saying, never eat soggy waffles. Then you can label it north, east, south, and west. Now for the intermediate directions. Between north and east is northeast. Between south and east is southeast. Between south and west is southwest. And in between north and west is northwest. Make sure you study your cardinal directions for the quiz. Using a compass rose. Now on this map, the compass rose is shown right here, down in the Southern Ocean or Southern Atlantic Ocean here. Now the first question says, North America is what of South America? So what I need to do is I need to move the compass rose in my mind to the place that I want to tell directions from. I want to tell which direction is North America from South America. So if I move this compass rose in my head on top of South America, which direction would North America be from South America? The answer would be north. Some might say, if we're using intermediate directions, that North America is northwest of South America. Let's try it with Australia. Australia is what of Africa? I need to put my compass rose in Africa. And so Australia is what direction from Africa? That would, of course, be southeast. Antarctica is what of Africa? I'm going to put my compass rose in Africa. Which direction do I have to go to get to Antarctica? The answer would be I go south to get to Antarctica. Europe is what of Asia? I'm going to put my compass rose in Asia. Which direction would Europe be from Asia? The answer is west. Europe is west of Asia. The Arctic Ocean is what of the Atlantic Ocean? Here's the Atlantic Ocean. Here's the Arctic Ocean. I'm going to put my compass rose in the Atlantic Ocean. Which way do I have to go to get to the Arctic Ocean? The answer is north. I would go north to get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Arctic Ocean. Let's look at the next part of a map. The next part of a map is called the map legend, or sometimes it's called the key. This is what shows the symbols on a map. And depending on the type of map would show depending on what the symbols would be. So for instance, this looks like it is a key or a legend to a hiking map that shows hiking trails, camping areas, water, scenic vistas, trailheads, stairs, different junctions. So this would go on to a hiking map. This key or legend looks like it's to a highway map because it's showing me the different levels of highways, different levels of roads, and it's also showing me cities and state capitals. So I would use this legend or this key or legend to find out what the symbols on a map mean. Let's take a look. On this map, it's showing us a legend right here. So it's showing me where the country borders are is a solid line. It's showing me state boundaries are a dotted line. Major roads are a yellow line. Rivers are a blue line. Major cities are a circle, and so on. So I can see by looking at this line right here, I look on my key or legend and I see that that's a country border. And of course, that's the border between the United States and the country of Canada. I can see these dotted lines right here, and these I can look at my key or legend and see they are state boundaries. So this is the state boundary of North Dakota and South Dakota and Nebraska. I can see that the blue line is a river, and I can see this river is called the Missouri River. Of course, this river is called the Mississippi River. So I use my key or my legend to see what the symbols and lines on a map mean. Sometimes key and a legend is fairly simple. When you go to an amusement park, you would need to be able to find the bathrooms. So where would the restrooms be? I would look for the restroom symbol. And so I would find the restrooms on the map and I could see where I need to go in order to get to them. So this is a most common way that you'll probably use maps in this world where we have GPS and phones. A map is really a good thing to have when you are in an amusement park to find out where to eat, where to go to the bathroom, where to go to Let's see if there is a first aid. If you got hurt, you'd need to go to the first aid, where to get money, where parking is. So a key or a legend can be very helpful on a map. Sometimes on a key or legend, it shows colors and not symbols. So on this map, I can see my key or legend is showing green is forest, yellow is grassland, and orange is little or no vegetation. So when I look at this map of vegetation, here's my title, China Vegetation. I can see what areas are green, yellow, and orange. I can use my key or my legend to determine what kind of land that is, what is growing there. Next, map scale. Maps are smaller versions of the place that they represent on Earth, and the Earth is a very big place. So the scale has to be different on every single map. The scale is often found in the bottom corner of the map, and it tells the distance. So for instance, this scale is showing that 1 inch equals 1 mile. That would be some sort of scale like on a city map where the distance is not long. Whereas on this map, 1 inch could really equal 500, 700, 1,000 miles. On the map scale, it helps you to find how far between places. So if I were going to go from, let's say, Seattle to San Francisco, how far would that be? I would compare the distance on the map to the distance on the scale, and that would help me find the distance in real life. For instance, on this map, how far is it from San Francisco to Los Angeles? Well, here's San Francisco and here's Los Angeles. Now, I don't have a piece of paper handy with me, but if I did, I would hold up a piece of paper to this scale and I would see from 0 to 300 miles, the length of this line is 300 miles on this map. And I would compare that distance, 300 miles, to the distance between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And I would guess using this that it's a little over 300 miles. So I could make a guesstimate of the actual distance. And if I wanted to be exact, I would use a map with a smaller scale, and I could use a ruler or a piece of paper to measure, draw lines, and actually compare. But you can see that this length of line is 300 miles, and this is a little bit longer than that scale. If I look about how far is New York from Philadelphia, New York is here and Philadelphia is here. That is a short amount. And if I compare this distance using a string or using a ruler or using a piece of paper where I can draw pencil lines, I can compare this distance to the scale and I can see it's about 1/3 of the distance of this scale. So I would guess it's about 100 miles between New York City and Philadelphia. Of course, if I wanted to be more exact, I would measure. The grid system. Finding a place on a map can be difficult. For instance, if I said, find my house on this map, and I didn't give you any clues or directions, it'd take you quite a long time to find out where I live. But I use the grid system, the system of letters and numbers, to tell you that I live in D, and I live in, let's go to C, and I live in 5. So C5 would narrow down the map to this section, and then that would be where I live, and you would have a better idea without having to really look at too much. It helps us find things on a map. Sometimes it's a grid system using letters and numbers, and sometimes we use the grid system of longitude and latitude. In this picture, we're using a grid system of letters and numbers. Now, usually I mention the letter first and then the number. So where would you find the lions? Take a minute to find the lions and tell me what grid they are in. Of course, I can find the lions here. If I follow this over, I can see that I am in the C, and I follow it up to numbers, and I can see 3. So the lions are located in grid C3. Where would you find the monkeys? Take a look. I would find the monkeys right here in D3. Now, some kids would actually say I would find the monkeys in D4, but they would be wrong. Can you see why? The reason why is that monkeys, the word monkeys, is in D4. That is true, but the symbol on a map is the place of interest. So the monkeys are actually in D3. Where would you find the birdhouse? The birdhouse is here. I do my letter first, B, and I am in 3. So that is how you use the grid system to closely find where a point is listed. So to review, we have 5 parts of a map. The title tells us what the map is about. The compass rose shows us directions on a map. The map key or legend tells us the symbols on a map. The scale tells us the distance on a map. And the grid system helps us to find a place. Don't forget to know both of your cardinal directions and your intermediate directions. Cardinal directions are north, east, south, and west. Never eat soggy waffles. And intermediate directions are the directions that are in between. So between north and east is northeast. Between south and east is southeast, and so on. That is what you will need to know for your quiz, the 5 parts of a map, as well as to label the cardinal and intermediate directions. All right, I hope you enjoyed learning about the parts of a map, and have a good day.